How are you? How are you?
How am I? Fantastic.
We're back again in our podcast. That's my friend Margot. We're very excited
How
to
are you, Margot?
talk to you.
Doing well, Leon. Nice to meet you. Heard a lot of wonderful things about you.
Really? Really?
More than you can ever imagine.
I just came back from Australia last night and I've just spoken to 4 clients already today. So no rest.
No,
But it's really funny. When you're excited, you don't need to really sleep a lot.
that's right. That's right.
I
Well,
agree.
how I met Leon.
Okay.
That's an interesting story because I tripped to one of Leon's videos in Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, this is fun. This is nice. And I subscribed. And then in one of my Kabbalah classes, it said in Zoom class, it said, Leon, is it the same guy? Oh my God. And then I saw you put your camera on. It's like, oh my God, the same guy, the same Leon. And then I went to London. It was I kind of wanted to meet him because it's such a fun person, such a nice person.
It all came together and then it just was like, it was quite serendipitous. Is that the word? I think it is. Yeah, it all came together sort of when Instagram, Kabbalah, tube station.
Yeah, it was a tube station. Because we're well, I greet you. I met you in Shabbat, and the first Friday I came there, but we didn't have time to talk. And then
now we've got time to talk.
Exactly. we didn't cross. But you're in black as well. Oh my God!
I've got I can never tell whether it's black or navy, but yeah, it looks like black. Yeah, so it must be. I think it looks good that we're all in black.
Right. We're very, very elegant looking. So
it's a good look.
Yeah, and so I was entering the tube, and I just heard, "Hi." That, who can know me here in London? So, hello, Leon.
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny. So Leon is right. Well, I don't know where to start because first can I reveal your age? Would you give me permission to reveal your age? He's stuck. He's stuck. Hello.
Was it?
Yeah, did you hear me? No, I think it's him.
Yeah. Check your Wi-Fi connection. Just
curious. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Hello. I think it might be him.
Maybe.
I thought maybe he got scared of my age.
Maybe,
no.
maybe we should change the question. Maybe that's a sign.
Exactly,
it's
a sign. But it's kind of important.
Really?
Yes, okay, well, because our podcast, it's never too late.
Good idea.
Yes,
okay,
so
good
the
idea.
age, and when you will know how old he is, you're gonna understand me.
Okay, there he is.
Oh,
admit.
You got kicked out, or you left when you heard my question.
You got scared?
You got scared? Did you hear my question?
No. Say it again.
Are you prepared? Are you prepared? It's very intimate question. That's why Zoom Zoom call. No, I asked if I can reveal your age. Because for our podcast, can I please?
You want to reveal it or you want me to reveal it?
Yeah, you
can reveal it.
Well, it's funny. I just turned 80 on the 25th of January.
No, you're not.
No, it's not possible.
No,
that's what I said to my teacher. And you haven't.
Up until this time, I was hiding my age all the time. Now that I turned 80, I'm telling everybody. So yes, I don't. I don't care anymore. But I feel fantastic. I
I don't do anything special. You know, I do a little bit of yoga, but my mind is like better than it was when it was 40. And I think I'm just blessed. I don't think I can give any secrets about it. There's no secrets. Yeah, I've always eaten well. You know, I use a moisturizer, blah blah blah.
Very important.
But a good moisturizer. You know, I cleanse, but it's more sort of mental and physical. I'm fine, and I'm going to start yoga again. I used to do a lot of yoga. I think that's a really good thing. I haven't had a lot of time to meditate, so I think I'm just an excited guy.
Yes, I think that's
And I
the
think
same,
that's,
yeah.
I think that you're kind of on top of things. And I think also the fact that I don't discuss retiring or anything like that, and I'm not interested in retiring. I started a new career when I was 76. I started coaching when I was 76. So I've had a lot of careers before this. And I think it's just moving that's kept me thinking young. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
And
our podcast
I
is
hang out with all age groups. I mean, you know, I hang out with my daughters. They're 31 and 35, but you know, they love hanging out with me. And so I don't know what it is. It's just, I think it's an Aquarian thing too. I don't think they ever grow up.
maybe. Well, when I met you, I thought, you look 65, honestly. But what struck me, your energy, your because we all have energy fields, and that's actually what we feel. It doesn't matter how we look after.
It does a little bit.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
After some minutes, you meet a person, you start to look them from different perspective because you feel their energy field. It's not otherwise. So that's why I was so stricken when I actually knew your age. It's not possible.
Yeah, I actually want to go back to the comment that he just made about the looks, and it's quite interesting because a lot of the times our physical appearance goes hand in hand with what's on the inside, right? Like, yeah, we can talk about external beauty, like somebody being extremely beautiful on the outside, but being empty on the inside. But I think what takes it to a whole different level where you're like, wow, is when the inside and the outside are fully connected. And that's when you're like, wow, it just...
Yeah, you glow. Yeah. You show your light. You glow. So Leon has a book.
I wish I could believe about me what you believe about me, because I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm a coach, so my work is, you know, giving people a belief in being enough, etc., etc. But you know, to be really honest with you, you know, I show confidence and I feel confidence, but I don't know if I believe it 100% until I start believing it 100%. Because I don't know what to do with 80. I don't know what to do with that. You know, I don't know what to do with that number. So in one way, I'm proud of it. In another way, I don't know what to do with it. So I've got to start believing in who I am. And I don't think I've actually, you know, like I help others do that, and that's working for me. But maybe I've got a coach as well, but I need to coach me into believing that, you know, I am enough. I am enough. You know?
What we all need. So tell us about what you do, what you've done, because Leon has a book. When
it hasn't been published yet.
Yeah, exactly, but it's gonna be published because it's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful story. The way it's written, it has such a beautiful rhythm, humor. I loved it. It's not finished. Hopefully I can help you some way to finish it. But when I started to read the story, I said, "Oh my God, it's like 5 lives in there." So tell us what you
Well, you know, I was born in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, which at that time was, I think, Soviet Union still, but it's independent now, in 1944. So my parents had actually escaped Poland. So my mother's side, so my mother, my father, and his parents left Poland. But my mother's side, they decided they're not going to leave, because at that time, a lot of the Jews didn't believe it was going to be what it was going to be.
Mhm.
You know, they didn't want to leave their home, so they all perished. I was that, you know, they perished in the Holocaust. All her side of the family. I was born in Almaty, and then when I was about 2, we transferred to Stuttgart in Germany and stayed there for about 7 years, because after the war, the German side was welcoming refugees, because it was sort of, in German it's called Wiedergutmachung, which means making good again. So they were sort of in an apologetic stage. So they were, welcoming refugees. So we were there until I was about 8. Then we came to Australia. I was about 8 or 9. My father came with like 11 pounds in his pocket. He's a shoemaker, so he could make shoes by hand. Very skilled shoemaker. And I went to school, and I was wearing like lederhosen, they call them, from Germany. I was wearing like shorts which were made of leather. So I got hell at school. I got bullied, because in those years, you're talking, what was it, 45, you're 52. It was about 1954. It wasn't yet an assimilated situation in Australia. So I was kind of bullied. I went through that, grew up, and I always wanted to, for some reason, I always wanted to do fashion designing. So when I got into sort of the teenage years, I got a job in a factory, and I started learning about fashion. And then I did a course, and I got a diploma in fashion. And I made a handmade a dress for my mother, and I beaded it and everything. So that was good. I went into fashion, and at the age of about 20, I started my own label with one of the girls there, and we had our own little fashion label. It was called Gilda Lee, because her name was Gilda and I was Leon, so we called it Gilda Lee. And we didn't have a car, but her father had a car, so we used to borrow the car. And once the car wasn't available, and I had to make a delivery of these dresses to the city in Melbourne, Australia, so I went on a tram, and the trams have got the rails, where you hang on, and I had to hang the dresses on these rails. And the tram was going, and women were looking at the dresses and saying, "Have you got my size? Do you have a size 12 in this?" "I'm sorry, these are not for sale." So women were looking at the dresses, and that we were so young. That only lasted for about a year, and I continued in fashion, and I built my own brand, and I was in that for about 50. Something else happened in between. In between, I also auditioned for a television show. This is really weird, which was before MTV in Australia. That someone came up with the idea of having a television show where people would lip sync. They called it mime, lip sync to artists, but they didn't so you would lip sync because no one knew what James Brown or what no one knew what the artist looked like, because there was no MTV. So they only had audio to listen to the artist. So the idea was we would dance, and we would lip sync to these artists. And so I got on television, and this was incredible. I went and auditioned, I lip synced, and they said, "Good, don't call us, we'll call you." And all my friends, I had a few friends already on the show, and I was going crazy. So I was working in fashion, but I really wanted to be on this television show, because you can imagine I was like 23. I really wanted to be on this.
Yeah, you were.
I would have paid them. So consequently, they rang me after 5 weeks and said, "Do you know?" I don't know if you heard of this artist, Otis Redding, the version of Satisfaction, not the Rolling Stones version. It's another version, a sort of a soul version. I said, yes, I know it. They said, practice it and be here on Saturday. This was like on a Tuesday. They said, have you got a suit? I said, yes, I've got a blue suit. They said, okay, bring your suit. This is how it worked. Bring your suit and learn the track and come here. So I was lip syncing for the whole week in front of a mirror. I knew this backwards. I thought, this is unbelievable. I went out to the show. I was waiting, sweating in the what they call the green room, you know, the waiting area before you go into the studio. And about 20 minutes later, knock on the door, said, Leon, you're on. This without rehearsal. Change into your suit. So I changed into my blue suit. I ran into the studio and they put me like on a stage. And I looked up and there was a girl with like a mini skirt in leather on the stairs, on a ladder, and she was going to come down and dance with me. And I knew how to dance. I was naturally a good dancer, and I was out there on the and the floor manager comes out. I mean, and he went 5, 4, and the lights came on 3, 2, 1. And through the speakers came this blasting music, and I started lip syncing like crazy. She's climbing down the stairs. We start dancing. It finishes. I'm sweating, and the guy goes, cut. And within 7 days, the show went absolutely crazy. I couldn't sit in a restaurant because I'm signing autographs. Can you imagine? And I wasn't even singing. They were not pretending that I was the artist. They would say, this is Leon Kamer miming Otis Redding or miming James Brown. So they didn't pretend that I was the artist. But this show went absolutely viral in Australia. And I became a star overnight, like my colleagues on the show, which was absolutely crazy. And from that, of course, that developed me. I could sing a bit. So then I started singing. So then I was on the road with a band. So then I started playing guitar, and you know, we weren't famous, but from that notoriety, from being seen, now I was singing, and at the same time I was doing fashion. So I started my own label, and it was called Blue Market, and that went really well. And I had a collection, started designing it, still singing, and eventually we opened 3 or 4 shops. Things went well until they didn't. You know, it was like fashion that went out of fashion. So that went for a good 15 years, that label, and it was really good. But I'm really good at starting businesses, and I'm really good at finishing businesses. So
ask you, how many businesses did you start?
Many. Then I went to another television show called Happening 70, and this was a really good thing. I went into public relations because that show went for 4 hours on a Saturday. It was also a rock and roll show, but I would be singing, and then we would be sitting on couches talking about rock and talking about things. So I realized that on this show there was 4 hours of content that they had to fill. So I got the idea, if they have to fill 4 hours, I can go out and I can talk to a hairdresser. In those days, hairdressers were like celebrities. Or I can talk to anyone that's doing an opening. I can go to a shop. I can interview them like it's content. Then I charge them for that, and then I approached the producers on the show and said, "Listen, you need content. I'm going to put on this bit of content, which is 6 minutes of me interviewing somebody about their hairdressing salon." So I was really doing like subtle advertising. I'll give you $200 and I'll keep $200. So they let me use their platform to do this PR. And from that, I developed a PR company because, that client will say, "What else can you do for me?" And I would say, "Well, I can get you into the paper." And then I didn't have a clue. But I started ringing the editors of the paper. Then I started writing press releases. Never wrote a press release before. And suddenly I built up this really good PR company, and I had like 5 people working for me, and that was good for about 12 years again. And then I got married to my first wife. She was Italian from Rome, very stylish, really incredible cook, incredible, beautiful woman, incredible hostess. Everything was incredible. But it was the days of, a lot of ego. It was the 70s. And I actually met her at one of the openings that I did for a shoe shop. And she was managing it, and the rest is history. We got married. She knew me because she'd seen me on television, so she knew who I was. And the PR was going really well. I was doing stuff like for fashion parades, because I knew that. I was doing openings for record companies, for pizza shops, anything that was public. I was doing the openings and doing really well. Hairdressers, fashion. And then we decided to go overseas for a while. Went overseas, and in London I saw this T-shirt in a window that I'd never seen before. It was like a cap sleeve. It was different. It was a T-shirt. I said, that in Australia will really sell. So I bought one in each color. I was still in PR, but I wanted to get back into fashion. So I came back. I knew a guy I said, how much can you make this for? And he said $3. So I sold it for $5.50. I went to a place called Sports Girl, which is like Next. The shops Next?
Yes.
Or Selfridges, but many shops. And they said, yes, we'll take 800. So I said, make me 800 of these in these colors. So he started making them. He was late with the delivery, and they canceled. And I had all these T-shirts. So I went in there and I said to the buyer, I said, look, this is my first order. Please take them in. They will sell. Give me a break. So she did. She gave me a chance. They accepted the order, and they just sold like crazy. And they ended up buying something like 5,000 over the whole period. So now I'm back in the fashion business, and then I'm doing a collection again. And then I've got a label called Bolero, and that keeps going, and that's fantastic. And again, eventually that went down. So now I thought, God, I don't know, So some guy approaches me and he said, listen, there's a guy making a lot of money out of a company called Herbalife. Herbalife is a health and nutrition company. You heard about it. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, it's not for me. I don't want to be approaching all my friends. He said, just come and listen. I listened. I said, it's still not for me, but I need the money. So I became a Herbalife distributor in Australia. It was tough. It was tough until the company said, we're opening in Thailand. So by that time, I was married the second time. My first wife couldn't have children, so she sort of went to Florence for a while. She was chasing her youth, whatever. We were married for about 7 years. And while she was away, I went over there 3 times. She said, I'm not sure what I want to do. I met someone else. So I met someone else in Australia. We were together. We had a daughter. And then the first wife wanted to come back. I said, it's too late. I asked you 3 times. I've met someone. That was quite a heartbreaking situation for her, for me, for everybody. And my second wife's name is Jill, and also a gorgeous woman, 17 years younger than me. And I was 40, she was 23 when we met. So, and we were together after that for 28 years.
Oh.
And we've got 2 daughters, one's 35, one's 31. Ruby lives in Rome, but I'll get to Rome in a minute. I'm telling this story all mixed up, but are you getting it? Are you getting it?
Yes. Yeah. Do you have any
Shall I
questions?
I stop now, or do you want me to carry on?
No.
We have some questions.
Yeah. So far, what I see from Leon's story is he, like he said it in the beginning, he's always been in movement, And I think that's one of the most valuable lessons I'm taking from this conversation is, you know, when something doesn't work out, then you move on to the next thing, you move on and this and that. And I think this is part of his overall success as a human, if you might say, right? He never really got stuck.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, this didn't work out, so he moved here, he did that. And I can actually relate to his stories on fashion, because I've been in the fashion industry, and you know, it's really brave what you did, and the way you did it, it's unbelievable actually. But then there's always that love that's intertwined, I guess that's the word, if you're right. So parallel to as his professional careers were taking off, there was always like that love relationships and stuff like that, which is
no, that's a we're all integral beings, so we can't separate.
Anyway, all those things brought me to coaching eventually. All those things is what, without those things, I think they're much more powerful than the diplomas.
yeah, absolutely. It's life experiences. And what happened with Jill? She's still around, or
Jill, well, Jill left, and you know, we speak, we're very friendly, but Jill left. That was very traumatic. And when she left about 11 years ago, that's when I found Kabbalah. I really needed something to heal. And that just came to me. I don't know how it came to me. I just Googled it. And the next thing I was there, it was like I was transported to Kabbalah. And that's been a great healer for me, because, you know, the separation came like a car crash. I didn't expect it. It wasn't seen. She just needed someone. She needed someone that would listen to her more. But, you know, I can't blame myself for it, because, you know, it always takes two people. So, and 28 years is pretty good anyway.
Is there anything that you would have done differently when you look back on your life? Is there?
I probably would have treated my second wife with less complacency and more appreciation. That's not to say I treated her bad. I didn't, but with more compassion, with more listening, and with not taking it for granted. I think it becomes very, you know, I would have made sure that the relationship was always exciting, and that I would have been a better listener, because listening is not one of my natural, what it is now with coaching.
You're an Aquarius. So
unfortunately, I don't know. It's not one of my natural skills, or not one of my natural traits. So yeah, I may have done that differently, but you know, you got to be spiritual about these things. You got to realize that all that, even with me being what I was, and I'm not saying it's not an excuse. Even with me being what I was, it moved towards what it should be.
Always. You know? I have a question. And looking
I'm
back,
sorry, you said it moved towards what it should be, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's two ways I can look at this. I wasn't the man I should have been, so she left, or I wasn't the man I should have been because, you know, on a soul level, maybe my soul wanted her to leave so that I could become something else. There's two ways of looking at it.
That's what we just talked about before we connect to you. That's everything is perfect, and if you have a certainty in the creator, that's what it is. And I have a question. looking back, we there is saying, and what I'm studying Kabbalah as well. So we most learn from the relationship. We can do a lot of things. We can become and change and do business and a lot of things. But where we most learn is from relationship. It's a harder thing to do. Be in a relationship, especially in romantic or soulmate relationship. So looking back, from where, in which area did you learn definitely more, or it helped you become a better person in your relationships, or in your changing careers, in your personal path, or it's definitely a mixture of both?
I think I learned the most after the relationship broke up, because I then realized that I had to change. I couldn't be that person anymore because I was getting away with too much ego. I was getting away with too much celebrating myself.
What age were you when you came to that realization?
More like 70.
69.
60, yes, 70, 69.
So it's pretty late.
Yeah.
But it's never too late. Our podcast. It's name our podcast. It's never too late. That's the point. It's never too late to realize something needs to change, and never too late to make a change. It's never too late, ever.
Yeah, a lot of people go through their whole life without realizing these truths, right? So they come and they go without ever realizing.
They need a good coach. They need a good coach.
Yeah, exactly. How this last 10 years after realization have been for you?
Say it again.
Yeah, after realize something in
how the last 10 years been?
Inside, yes, to change, how is it easier, harder?
I think I got. Well, you know, I think I got more compassion for people. Oh yeah, here's the thing. So I would only accept certain people that were a certain way. I would judge people on how they looked rather than who they were. So now I accept people. I'm more compassionate. I'm more understanding of people, and I give much more time to people. Because you've got to remember, and it's not an excuse, every business I've been in, everything I've done has been ego-driven. So fashion is ego-driven. Public relations is ego-driven. Being on television is ego-driven. Even Herbalife is ego-driven, because you can become something in selling the products. So all my businesses were ego-driven, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I could celebrate myself, and I was celebrated. And I'm blessed with the fact, and this is with the fact that I've never had a problem attracting people, right? I've never had a problem having friends. You know, even if people know that, can I say something here? Yeah. Even if people say, Leon's an asshole, but I love him. You know, it's always that. And so I've been very spoilt. I've been very spoilt with that, with those attributes, you know, and I know that I have them by now. And at 80, I'm allowed to say it, you know. So that kind of always getting away with whatever I wanted to get away with, being in those egotistical businesses, having as many friends as I want, you know, I was spoiled. I was spoiled, and I think I got slapped down with a separation. I really got slapped down. And then in Kabbalah, of course, you know that it's all about restriction and no ego. So now I'm accepting people on the same level as I am. I'm not thinking that I'm more superior, because Aquarius. The worst thing about Aquarians is innately, it's a feeling. It's like a feeling. Innately, they think they're better than everybody else. That's what they don't even think it. It's a feeling. It's not. Does that make sense?
Then I
Yeah,
know.
it's just yeah, you know, someone makes a joke, you think, why is everybody laughing? That's not funny. You know, like I could do better. So that was that's been a battle to get rid of, to squash that ego. And even if I sit here talking to you, it hasn't disappeared, but it's dissipating.
Exactly.
Would you say your coaching business is kind of aligned with this new mindset where you're
Coaching is listening. Coaching is just listening.
where you're doing a different type of job, where you're being more compassionate, where you're willing to listen to people and kind of humble yourself, put yourself in a more of a humbling.
Very much aligned, because if I don't care about the person I'm talking to, then I'm not going to be a good coach. So it's very much aligned with that. But having said that, it is aligned with that. But I think that kind of, I think all my experiences give me a sort of innate feeling. I can talk to someone for 2 minutes, and I can say something that seems like a risk, and I'm right. And I'm not very clairvoyant in my intuition about who people are is like a natural thing. So from a coaching aspect, I can feel them, you know, they say a few things and I can say, you know, I'm feeling that you are blah. And they say, how did you know that? I don't know. It's experiences.
Yeah, I can relate.
I remember, you know, I went overseas. I went to New York when I was 20, and I slept in this, you know, there's so much that I'm not saying I've done more than anybody else, but I took a lot of chances. I took a lot of risks, even when I was single, and I went to New York. Then it was, you know, crazy stuff. So if you've done all that stuff, of course you can look at people and know who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, before we finish, I have a last question. What's next for Leon? Because for you, 80, it's like 20. It's never too late. Always moving forward.
I think, look, I really like coaching. Is it going to be my last stop? I don't know. I would like to sort of speak motivationally now. I think the next step would be to speak to more than one person.
Yeah, I think
I didn't let you guys talk.
Leon, and what are your ideal clients? Are there people who are looking for coaches on business, or would you consider yourself more like a life coach, or what's your ideal client?
My ideal client is someone that's striving for something, someone that wants to get somewhere. So it's more entrepreneurial, more career, more business. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to help, you know, the housewife or the woman that's got a problem with her husband, if I get that. But generally, I think my niche area is sort of entrepreneurial, career, people wanting to achieve something.
Wonderful. That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but in I did some mentoring and coaching, but it starts from the career. It always goes deeper in each session, and finish that always in personal growth and personal leadership and personal relationship. It's always goes to
it's good
the basics.
Yeah, it's good to know for you know, we're going to be sharing the podcast, so it's also good to know for our audience.
Yeah, we're gonna
know.
Tell us where the listeners can find you. Your Instagram,
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram with @talkingwithleon. You can find me on LinkedIn under Leon Kamer, Kammer. You can find me on Facebook. But you know, @talkingwithleon on Instagram or Leon Kamer on LinkedIn would be good. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to talk.
No,
No, this was about you,
We're good
Leon.
listeners.
Yeah. This was about you. That was the whole point.
You're always going to be doing the podcast together.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.
I
Yes,
don't even know the name. I don't even know the name of it. What's the name of it?
It's never too late.
Oh wow, that's that
I'll
goes
send you
very
the link.
well with.
Yeah, it's
That's
never too
like
late.
that.
Yeah, sometimes we're doing it. We started it just us,
Right.
without any guests, and sometimes we just speak about
Topics.
topics, the deep topics.
Yeah.
So what's the vision? What's the vision for it? What's the purpose?
Purpose is to show people this first. It's never too late. Then there's always hope in any situation, and most importantly, when you go a little deeper in any situation, in anything, how you see things, when you go deeper, you're always gonna cover something very valuable. So it's sometimes people are afraid to go deeper. So that's what we want to show when we speak. We don't afraid to disagree. We don't afraid to go in topics that maybe it scares us or it's
And yeah, and I think to answer Leon's question about the vision, well, as we're talking now, I see ourselves doing this with more people like Leon. Like I already, as we're doing this, I already thought, okay, our next podcast is going to be about so and so, and that's kind of the way it's been, because it's always, we like to have people like yourself,
because
which are
we learn.
yeah,
We learn.
inspirational people who have a life story to show for their attributes, their talents, etc. Right? Because it's very easy to come here and talk based on, you know, you took a 6-week course and now you think you're a guru. But when you're somebody like Leon, when you're somebody like Karine that we interviewed a few weeks ago, or even such a young person like Martin that we did last week, and you have a story that's attached to your purpose, it's for us, that's just the most meaningful part, because we could have here like a CEO of a company who just went to Harvard and he became a CEO, but there's nothing else to it. But when there's a whole story,
well, there's always a story, but yes, we don't choose people. We don't trying to find the people come to us. Everyone who was talking in our show, they just appear. Yeah. So we're very intuitive. We're very
you manifest. You know, it's interesting that you say that. I'll let you go, but it's interesting that you say that they can. I've just been to Australia for a month, and I kind of lost that thread of Kabbalah because there's no Kabbalah there in Melbourne, and it's amazing how quickly it can disappear. How you can be tricked back into a different reality when you're not practicing it all the time. So I kind of missed that, but it's incredible how you can fall down again.
Yes.
And start believing your egotistical reality rather than your higher self. You know. So I'm glad to be back, so I can get back into the wisdom.
Thank you for being here with us this morning. It's a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing what's in store for you in the coming months. Because
for your book.
And the book, I've got to get onto that.
In person. I'm interviewing in person. In London or here. We're interviewing in person.
Thank
lovely
you.
Lovely to talk to you both, and lots of love.
Thank you so much, Leon.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, wait, 12 minutes?